Welcome to Baldur's Gate, a veritable nest of rats and vipers clinging to the rocky slopes overlooking the Chionthar River. From their high perches in the upper city, the local nobles gaze down with veiled contempt upon the common rabble in the grimy lower city, which hugs the foggy harbour. The whole of the gate reeks of blood, crime, and opportunity. Those of dastardly make and well-meaning entrepreneurs are drawn to the city like flies to a carcass. But the city harbours a darker secret, one that threatens not just the city, but the entire Sword Coast. A secret that, left unchecked, threatens divinity itself. The crunch of metallic boots displaces the mud and grime common within the lower city. Through common stone streets, past the local citizenry, the dozen flaming fists find their way, a singular goal, determination, on their sweat-addled faces. A tall man with long black hair and a leather eye patch leads the company, the red and gold symbol of an emblazoned fist, emblematic of their authority. "Captain, you know Zodge will suffice you, fool. How many times have I told you, we aren't like those pompous ingrates that call themselves the Watch." "Now report." The second in command, a clearly fatigued one-horned silver dragonborn, bows, exhales, and begins. "The bathhouse. We think that the cultists have holed up there. They have been seen coming and going. Barely a reputable parlour at the best of times." Zodge turns to the company. "You carry the security of the city on your shoulders, men, and your shoulders brace, but will not buckle under the weight. Be on guard." The company strides toward the bathhouse. It is a one-story stuccoed building with stained glass windows and clay roof tiles. 10-foot tall walls enclose a large courtyard outside the southeast corner of the building. The company finds their way quickly through the courtyard, expelling patrons quickly and with efficiency. They find their way past the closed wood doors of the courtyard, engraved with images of smiling nymphs dancing and frolicking in the water. As the company enters the bathhouse proper, the walls of this 20-foot-high pillared chamber are adorned with frescoes of bathing royalty. Natural light streams through the stained glass windows, creating colourful patterns on the tiles of polished blue marble that covers the floor. The shallow sunken pools are scintillating with white marble benches aside and brass faucets. "The North Massage Room," bellows Zodge. "Our intelligence points there." As the company enters, he shoves the masseuse aside and kicks into the north wall, buckling easily under such force. "The cultists will pay for their transgressions," he bellows, and the company descends. Silence, distilled by the echoing of the splash of water, as the company enters the dungeon, bereft of its previous life as the old Baldurian sewer system. "Captain, it is too quiet." The company enter a flooded chamber. 3 wooden beams brace the large chamber itself. 3 stone altars lit by flanking sconces provide the only light to the chamber. The first altar holds a 3-foot-tall steel mask cast in the form of a frowning skull, its eyes releasing tears of crimson. The second, with humanoid skulls and bones piled around it, the essence of gore obvious in its creation. The final has 2 grim figures, a helmed man impaling a prisoner with a spear and a golden gauntlet on his right arm. Before the company can react, bolts fly from the north end of the chamber, impaling Zodge and his second through the frontal lobe. Splatters of crimson across the stony walls of the chamber as cultists flood the chamber, knocking the soldiers to their knees. In less than a minute, half of the company lie dead, the waters of the chamber flowing crimson toward the 3 altars. Hours pass with the imprisonment of the flaming fist. The dimly lit stone chamber, flickering torches, and later, a dark ritual in progress. Hooded cultists stand around each of the altars, chanting in a guttural language. The flaming fist knelt, eyes wide with terror. Masked cultists, robes trimmed in crimson, hold jagged daggers high. The chanting reaches a fever pitch. The daggers plunge into the chest of 3 of the company. Blood spills across the altar, flowing into carefully carved grooves that form the symbol of Baal. A skull surrounded by drops of blood. For the Lord of Murder. From the shadows, another cultist steps forward, clad in grey and black, skeletal symbols embroidered along the hem of his robe. He raises bony hands above the corpses. Death is not the end, not when Merkel, the Lord of Bones, claims the soul. No prayers will save the fallen now. In his cold grasp, the dead are stripped of all but memory and dust. The corpses of the trio contort and explode in a fountain of gore, the animated skeletons the only remnant that remains. A third figure stands in the doorway, tall, imposing, armoured in blackened plate. The air thickens, the cultists falter, and even the dead seem to shrink from the figure's presence. He raises a gauntlet, and the remaining prisoners are shackled, a magical collar placed upon the neck of each. And for those left alive, there is only one fate: subjugation. Bane, the Black Lord, demands obedience. To resist is to suffer. To submit is to survive. The dead 3 walk among mortals still, and their dominion is far from over. A dimly lit, ancient library filled with towering bookshelves. A robed wizard sits at a candlelit desk, an ancient tome open before him. He traces his fingers over the dust-covered pages. Pages speaking of lore, lost and forgotten. Before they were gods, they were men. Ambitious, ruthless, and consumed by an insatiable hunger for power. Bane, Merkel, and Pal were no mere mortals. They were conquerors, warlords, and assassins who carved a path of terror across Faerun. They sought not wealth, nor fleeting mortal power, but divinity itself. And so, they turned their gaze to the most ancient and feared deity of all, Jurgle, the Lord of the End of Everything. They stormed his realm, weapons drawn, ready to wage war upon death itself. But Jurgle, he did not fight. No, the god of death had grown tired of his station. He merely watched them approach, hollow eyes glinting with amusement. Why do you challenge me, when you could simply take what you desire? And so, he proposed a game of chance, a roll of the dice to determine how his vast power would be divided. Bane, ever the master of domination, seized victory and claimed tyranny, strife, and hatred as his dominions. Merkel, second in the game, chose dominion over the dead, and Baal, the last among them, was left with murder and death. Thus, they ascended, becoming gods in their own right. But ambition is a hunger never truly sated. Even among the gods, Bane and Merkel desired more. And so they stole the tablets of fate from the overgod, Io, believing they could seize even greater power. But Io is not so easily deceived. When no god would confess to the theft, Io cast every and all of the gods down from their celestial realms, forcing them into mortal flesh. This era became known as the Time of Troubles, a time of chaos, war, and divine bloodshed. And it was during this time that the dead 3 met their end. Bane, in his arrogance, faced the god Torm in battle, a cataclysmic clash that shook the heavens. In the end, both were slain, their divine essences scattered. Merkel, the Lord of the Dead, was struck down by midnight, chosen of Mystra atop Blackstaff Tower of Waterdeep, his essence lingering as little more than a whisper upon the winds. And Baal, the Lord of Murder, fell by the blade of Cyric, wielding the cursed sword Godsbane. But Cyric was not alone in this act, for the sword itself was the avatar of Mask, the god of shadows. And thus, the dead 3 died. But gods, true gods, do not die so easily. Even in death, they planned. Baal, ever cunning, foresaw his own demise. He scattered his essence among countless mortal progeny, the Baal spawn, each one a vessel for his return. And in time, they did die, their blood fueling his resurrection. Bane, too, was prepared. His essence lay dormant within his son, Yachtu Svim, a half-demon born of his will. And when the time was right, Bane would devour his own son to reclaim his divinity. Merkul, the most patient of all, bound his power to an artifact, the crown of bones. And when the second sundering came, when the gods once more stirred, he too returned. Though this time, he found himself in servitude to Kelemvor, the new lord of the dead. The dead three are not as they once were. They do not sit upon divine thrones, nor dwell in celestial realms. No, they walk among us. As quasi-deities, neither fully mortal nor fully divine, they spread their influence in the shadows through cults and whispered prayers. And though they may be lesser in power, they are far from powerless. Bane, the Black Lord, the Black Hand, and Lord of Darkness, God of tyranny, fear, and conquest, the ultimate tyrant. He is thoroughly evil and malicious and revels in hatred and strife. A brooding power, he rarely shows himself directly, preferring to plot from within the shadows. He hopes to control all of Faerun and dominate all other deities, although he will work with some to advance his goals, only to later betray this trust. His followers don't seek wealth or destruction. They seek control. Absolute, unquestioned control. From the iron-fisted rulers of Zentil Keep to the enforcers of despotic regimes, Bane's influence spreads wherever power is wielded without mercy. The Zentarim, once a mercenary network, fell under Bane's sway, becoming an empire of tyranny. To them, peace is an illusion, and only strength and submission can bring order. His presence is felt in every lash of the whip, every boot on a neck, and every law written to crush rebellion. His is a portfolio of tyranny, strife, hatred, and fear. Bane's clerics attempt to establish positions of power in every realm to forward their lord's desire. They work subtly and patiently to divide the forces of their enemy and elevate themselves and their lord's desire over all others. The clerics and paladins of Bane pray for their divine favor at midnight. This most often consists of chanting and the sacrifice of intelligent beings who are most often tortured, humiliated, and made to show fear. The dogma of Bane is one of tyranny and subjugation. Serve no one but Bane. Fear him always, and instill this fear more so upon others. The Black Hand strikes down those who stand against it in the end. Submit to the will of Bane. Defy him and die. Baal, the Lord of murder, God of death, of slaying, assassination, and violent death. He is violent, cruel, and hateful at all times. The presence of living creatures instills a deadly hunger in the Lord of murder and an overpowering need to kill and destroy. His minions bring devastation and death wherever they roam. Baal represents death by assassination, by betrayal, by the dagger in the dark. His followers are serial killers, ritual murderers, and assassins who believe each kill honors their god. It is said that when a true devotee of Baal kills, the victim's soul screams as it is torn from their body. His presence is felt in every cut, every violent act, every murder or depravity. His is a portfolio of murder and death. Baal's clergy members sponsor countless brotherhoods of assassins and thieves throughout the realms. Prominent among these are the Shadow Thieves of and the Citadel of Assassins in the Galena Mountains. Although during the time of troubles, the true assassins of the realms were destroyed and Baal murdered, guilds established in his name continue his legacy. These orders often pay homage to Baal as well as his successor, Cyric. The dogma of Baal is one of violence and murder. Every act of violence, of murder, strengthens holy Baal. To murder is a duty. A murder in the heart of the night is one most pure. It is our obligation to inform those who die that his name is Pal. Merkel, the Lord of Bones, the God of the dead. Merkel governs what comes after. His priests ensure the dead are never forgotten or left in peace. Necromancers pray to Merkul for power over life and death, and his influence lingers wherever the veil between worlds thins. Even now, his presence can be felt in ancient tombs, cursed artifacts, and whispered prayers of the dying. His is a portfolio of the dead, wasting, decay, corruption, exhaustion, and old age. The clergy of Merkel are charged to make folk fear and respect death, as well as previously conduct funeral rites prior to his downfall. They are expected to spread the word that touching a priest of Merkel brings death. They bring the word of the Doombringers, mortals who roam the lands avenging the dead, and to slay those who hold other gods above the Lord of Bones. The dogma of Merkel is that of death and decay. Know me and fear me. My embrace is for all, is patient, is sure. The dead can always find you. My hand is everywhere. There is no door I cannot pass, no guardian that can withstand me. I am inevitable. I am death. Gods, even fallen ones, require agents of their will, hands to wield daggers in the dark, voices to spread their gospel, and champions to enact their will upon the world. These are the chosen of the dead, 3. Mortal beings granted a sliver of divine power, blessings wrapped in curses, tools meant only to serve their dark masters. Bane, Lord of Tyranny, does not choose his chosen lightly. His champions are not only warlords or priests, but unshakable conquerors, individuals who impose order through absolute dominion. They are called the Fists of Bane, and their leader, the Chosen of Bane, wields his power like a general commanding an army. The Chosen of Bane does not ask for loyalty, he demands it. His very presence inspires fear, his voice bending weak wills to his cause. Those who dare defy him find themselves paralyzed by his divine aura, their minds clouded by terror, their limbs refusing to move. The Chosen becomes an aspect of tyranny with divine magic enabling subjugation, resilience, and the summoning of death tyrants to their will. 1492 Dr. shows Lord Enver Gortash as the Chosen of Bane. The Chosen of Bane wield many ornate and divine artifacts. The Hand of Conquest. With a touch, he can crush the will of the strongest warriors, turning even the most defiant into loyal soldiers, and the aura of subjugation. Those in his presence feel their strength wane, their thoughts clouded, as if an invisible hand clenches their throats. And finally, divine endurance. No wound slows him, no pain weakens him. He marches forward, relentless, unstoppable, the embodiment of tyranny itself. Bane's Chosen has but one goal: to see Bane's will imposed upon the world. Cities fall to his command, kingdoms kneel at his feet, and rebellion is crushed before it can even begin. He does not rule, he enslaves. Baal, Lord of Murder. Baal does not rule through fear alone. He does not inspire worship like Bane, nor command the dead like Merkul. No, his will is written in blood. He requires no armies, no vast dominions. He needs only a single blade in the dark. And for this, he has his Chosen, the Deathbringer. They do not conquer, they do not govern, they simply kill. The Chosen of Baal are not merely assassins, they are something far worse. To be chosen by Baal is not a gift, it is a curse. It is to become the living instrument of his endless hunger for slaughter. The Chosen of Baal exist for one purpose: to kill over and over again, until their bodies are broken and their souls are consumed by their dark master. They often, but not always, are his descendants, his Baal spawn, children of their fallen master who act as his contingency and will bring about his divine resurrection. Their gifts are subtle at first, but with enough acts of depravity, enough violence, enough murder, there is the Slayer, the ultimate reward, or perhaps the ultimate punishment. For those who prove themselves truly devoted, who kill without hesitation, without remorse, without reason, Pal grants his greatest gift. He strips away their humanity. He reshapes them into something else. The Slayer does not murder out of greed or vengeance or necessity. It kills because it is all it knows. The chosen of Baal becomes an unhuman, barbaric, bestial form of slaughter. They no longer need weapons. Their very bodies become instruments of death. Clawed hands, jagged fangs, their flesh shifting into whatever shape will kill most efficiently. Pain is meaningless. Injury does not slow them. They fight with mindless, relentless fury, a whirlwind of carnage. Their gaze paralyzes the weak, for in their eyes you do not see a man, you see death itself. They will kill until there is no one left to kill. Merkul, Lord of Bones, does not crave conquest. He does not seek to rule the living. He merely waits for them to die. His chosen is the harvester of souls, a pale, robed figure with hollow eyes and a voice that echoes from the grave. To look upon him is to feel your own mortality creeping closer. Those who fall by his hand do not pass on. Their souls are claimed, bound to Merkul's will, forever trapped in undeath. He speaks, and the dead answer. Secrets long buried, betrayals forgotten, the last words of the slain. He knows them all. The undying nature of his chosen, that is his most divine gift. No wound truly harms him, for his soul already belongs to Merkul. He is neither truly alive nor truly dead, existing in a cursed limbo between worlds. He cannot be killed, for he is already dead. In the event that his chosen finds near death's embrace, his avatar rises. A skeleton clad in a billowing black-cowled robe and wielding a scythe. Scaly, wrinkled skin, covered with knobby lesions and black, crackled lips. His eyes gleam with cold, evil light and sunken in the skull itself. A chest and torso of bare bones, 4 bony arms, the rest, wasted flesh and bone, and rotting gangrenous feet. The Lord of Bones may cast any divine or necromantic spell, or wield this divine scythe to ensure that when the bell tolls, death follows. Merkul's chosen has but one goal: to ensure death's dominion remains absolute. Necromancers who dare to raise the dead without Merkul's blessing are punished, their souls devoured rather than reanimated. Those who cheat death, lich lords, vampires, the undead who dare to act without his master's consent, are hunted, their existence unmade. To meet the chosen of Merkul is to hear the tolling of the funeral bell. The dead 3 are no longer distant, forgotten gods. They are here, in Baldur's Gate, in every corner of Faerun where fear, bloodshed, and death take hold. Their cults rise in the shadows, waiting for the moment when their masters will once again claim the world. Baldur's Gate, a city of wealth, power, and secrets. A city that has stood for centuries, its walls unbroken, its people ever watchful. The plots of patriarchs and the schemes of the guild operatives fill the gossips and whispers of Baldur's Gate. Yet, throughout the city, no names are as synonymous with dastardly acts as those of the dead 3. The demigods, Bane, Pal, and Merkul, walk among mortals, personally seeking followers to their cause. More than once, the trio has trodden the streets of the lower city. Since the time of the Balspawn, Sarevok plotted to start a war between Baldur's Gate and Amn as a path to claiming his father's power, and was summarily defeated. Awareness of the dead 3 has grown. Baldur's Gate maintains a grim draw for the dead 3. and for Baalspawn, whether due to foul influence in the city or because of Sarevok's reputation. While the Dead Three occupy a prominent place in Baldurian fears, their faiths have only the shallowest roots now in the city. Followers of the Dead Three have often done more to incite fear than faith. As a result, they operate within secretive cults in the city. Despite public fear and resistance from the Watch and the Flaming Fist, the cult of the Dead Three persist. Many thus wonder why the servants of Bane, Baal, and Merkel hold such interest in Baldur's Gate. But no blade, no wall, no decree can keep out the influence of the Dead Three. Because it is not just Baldur's Gate, it is everywhere. The gate is the epicenter, but the Dead Three's grasp is far greater. Thay, a land ruled by undead, where necromancers wield more power than kings. Here, Merkel's influence festers like a wound, hidden but ever-present. The Red Wizards seek to control death, but death cannot be controlled. It serves only one master. And Merkel waits. Neverwinter, a city recovering from its scars, a place of rebirth, but where there is life, there is also death. Pals, killers move unseen here, striking in the night, their murders increasing with every passing year. Some whisper that a new Deathbringer has risen in the city, his hands soaked in the blood of 100 victims. Am, a land of ruthless merchants and shadowy deals. Here, Bane's enforcers work tirelessly, turning trade into tyranny. The Iron Throne, long believed weakened, has resurged under new leadership, whispering prayers to the Black Lord. Deep beneath the surface, in the Underdark, the Dead Three's cults operate far from the reach of any mortal law. Here, Baal's murderers kill freely, Merkel's undead roam unchallenged, and Bane's warlords seek to forge dark empires among the Drow, Duergar, and deep-dwelling horrors. What does this mean for Faerûn? It means war in the shadows. It means death without warning. It means tyranny, murder, and undeath creeping ever closer, wearing the faces of men, lurking behind the banners of kings. The Flaming Fist may fight, the Watch may patrol, the brave may stand against them. But in the end, the Dead Three are patient. They are inevitable. And when the night is darkest, when the streets fall silent, when the air grows cold, you will know they are near, for their dominion is far from over. Thank you for watching the video. We have more videos planned, so like and subscribe to make sure you watch those when they release. If you would like to support the channel further, take a look at the links for Patreon and our membership on YouTube. Thanks to all our members new and those who have been with us from the start. See you all on the next video.